Hello and welcome to the Learning Square. In this series of Introduction to Python, I will talk about conditional statements and loops available in Python. So before we actually delve into the conditional statements, let's look at the logic part. If I have two equal to signs, it is actually trying to find out the equality between the two variables on both sides of this equal to sign. So 1 plus 1, I am trying to find out whether it is equal to 2, it would return me a true. Not equal to is written like this. This is less than, this is greater than. Less than or equal to is denoted like this. Greater than or equal to is denoted like this. Depending on these logical operators, my results would be a Boolean value. Now logical expressions can be combined with logical operators. So these expressions, they could be combined with operators such as and, or, and not. And is, it returns me a true if both these statements are true. Or would return a true if either one of them is true, and it would return a false if both are false. Not is opposite of whatever was generated here. So not of 7 greater than 0. We know 7 greater than 0 is true. So not would give me a false here. Now looking at the conditional statements. Conditional statements are used to execute a statement or a group of statements when some condition is true. So I'm testing some condition and I'm executing. If something is happening, I will execute this. Else I have another condition. Else if, I will give another condition. There could be multiple elifs here, and in the end you have an else. So if nothing is met, then you execute the else condition. So if I try to depict this in a flow chart, so if the condition is false, it will just move out. If some condition is true, then the conditional code will be executed. So this is the syntax. If and the condition is written with a colon. Python is an indented language. So as soon as you go to the next line, this would actually leave a tab here. I could have multiple elif conditions, then I'll have the else statements. So maybe I have a code here. So I have if marks are greater than 90. I say print outstanding, else if marks are greater than 80. So you know that if this is not executed, then only it is coming here. So I really don't need to check whether this is less than 90, because this is coming to this part only if it is not greater than 90. So anything between 90 to 81 would come here and it would print excellent. Then anything above 70 till 80 would come here and it would print commendable. Then for 60 and above, then for anything above 60 and less than 70 or equal to 70 would be come here. And in the end, whatever the marks which are less than or equal to 60 would print work harder. Here I have given the marks as 75. So according to this code, it should print commendable. Just run this and you can see it's printing commendable here. So this is how you write your if, else if statements. So there's another example. So while true, formula. So you're trying to get, now input is a method or a function wherein I'm taking input from the user. So this would give me a prompt and please give the chemical formula would be printed before the prompt. So whatever I write down here, so I try to find out whether it's H2O. If it is, then it says water. Else if the formula is CH3, I say it's methane. Else if the formula is NH3, ammonia. Else anything apart from this would go as unknown comma. Then we move on to loops. So we have different kinds of loops. We have a while loop, we have a for loop. So the syntax of the while loop is that after while you just have to write the condition and after the colon you give certain statements. So these statements are executed while this particular condition is met. So let us look at this example. So suppose I say I is equal to 0 while I is less than length of s. So I would have to specify an s also. So s is a hello here. I say while I is less than length of s, and then I check a condition. If not si in AEIOU, then I say print si, and then obviously I have to increase I so that this loop terminates. So what am I doing? I'm iterating over the length of s. So my string, I have a string here. I'm iterating over that string. I'm going up to the length of this string. This would be 5. Length of s would be 5. So while I is less than 5, if not si, so si right now would be s0. So I'm looking at h. H is not in AEIOU, so it means I can print si Then I increase I by 1. I again go back. It is now 1. It is still less than the length of S. And I have E. But E is in AEIOU. So it will not print it. It will again increase. It will again go back to the loop. Then I is now 2. I have L here. SI would be L. And L is not here in AEIOU. So it will print this. So I would get an output HLL if I run this code. So it is essentially printing all the non-vowel or consonants in a particular string. This is what this code is doing. So this was the while loop. Now another loop I have is a for loop. So I have for and I give a variable here and a certain sequence. The sequence could be a string, it could be a list, it could be a tuple. And then again I have certain statements. For each and every variable in this sequence, these statements would be executed. So an example over here is, so suppose I have a string s is equal to hello. For I in s, so I am iterating over this string here. I say print I. So I am just printing all the alphabets of this string here. You can see the output. The output is a hello with each alphabet in a different line. So we could also make a little guessing game when it comes to a while loop. So I have a guess the number game here. What do? So I import the random module which I had talked about in the first lecture. This is number of guesses taken. It is initialized to 0. This is just a variable. It could be ABC, but we give some logical name to it so that we understand why we are using it. We print hello, what is your name? We are taking an input. My name is equal to input. It has no argument here, so it will just give a prompt to take the input. The input given will be stored here as a string. Number is equal to random dot rand int 1 and 20. So I have a number being generated between 1 and 20 here randomly. So then I print that, well, whatever name is given, I am thinking of a number between 1 and 20 because this is what is generating a number between 1 and 20. Now for guess taken in range 6. So it means I can take how many guesses? I could take 6 guesses. Because this will go up to 5. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 would be 6 numbers. Print, take a guess, and then I am again taking the input here from the user. I am converting it into an integer because guess would be a string here because input by default takes the data type as a string. I here typecast it. If guess is less than number, so you just have to give hints. Whatever number is randomly generated, if the number is greater, you will say that your guess is too low. If it is lesser, you will say guess is too high. If the guess is equal to number, you will break. Once you break, you will be out of this loop. Otherwise, this will continue for 6 guesses. So after 6 guesses, it will automatically come here. If we were here after a break, then the guess would be equal to number, else the guess will not be equal to number if you break out after finishing this loop. So if the guess was equal to number, you will say how many guesses you had taken. You will write it down because we are adding 1 because we started with a 0, and you'll say good job, whatever the name is, you guessed my number in these many guesses. So if you've come to this point after finishing all your guesses, so you had 6 chances, if you finish them, then guess would not be equal to number. So you would just print out, nope, the number I was thinking was, and you'll print the number that you had actually generated randomly. Now let's run this. So here you can see I took a guess of 14. It says your guess is too low, so it means I'll have to try for a bigger number. So I took 4 chances to guess this number. So you can see how loops were used to generate a guess game. Now looking at the for loop, so like I said, I could iterate on the values of a sequence here, or I could also give a range here. So if I say for I in range 11, so it would print values from 0 to 10. So 0 to 10 is generated here. Suppose I want to print out in a formatted form. So I could just use for I in range 1 to 21. I want to print out the squares of the numbers ranging from 1 to 20. So I can just say print %d like I told in the previous lecture. I'll give 3 dashes here, again %d, and it is going to be replaced, the first one with I and the other one with I to the power 2. So if you see the result, it's going to be like this. So I could also use cumulative loops. Some loops incrementally compute a value that is initialized outside the loop. So here I have initialized sum is equal to 0. Then for I in the range 1 to 10, 11, that is I'll go from 1 to 10. I say sum is equal to sum plus I into I. So what am I doing? I'm squaring this number 1 square, 2 square, and I'm adding it to the previous sum. So initially sum becomes 1 square, then this would be 2 square, then 3 square. So 1 square plus 2 square plus 3 square, and the sum of first 10 squares is sum. Now try to do a program here. Write a program to compute the factorial of an integer. So the important point here is to remember that whatever value I is taking, j would take values equal to that number, but it will go up to 1 less this than the maximum value of I. So I is 1, I'll have one value 0. For I is equal to 2, I'll have two values of j here, 0 and 1. For 3, I'll have three values of j, 0, 1, 2, and so on. So for 10 I will have 10 values of j, and it will go from 0 to 9. So this is how the nested loops work. So then we have certain control statements. I could have a break statement. It will just terminate the loop statement and transfer execution to the statement immediately following the loop. So it will just break out of the loop and go to the next statement after the loop. Continue statement causes the loop to skip the remainder of its body. It will not execute whatever is part of the body and retests the condition to prior to the and retests its condition prior to reiterating. So it goes back to the initial loop. So the pass statement is used when you do not want to execute certain command or code. You just say pass. So let's see an example here. So suppose I say while true. So this is an infinite loop. I say s is equal to input, enter something. So I'm asking for an input from a user. If that input is equal to quit, I'll say break. Break means it transfers it out of the loop. So it will come here. If length of this string that I have input is less than 3, it will continue. What does it mean? It again transfers the condition back to the loop here. So while true, again it will start looking for an input. Will this print? If s is less than 3, with a continue it will go here. If it is equal to 3, it is not coming here. So this will never print. So when am I coming here? I am coming here if the length of s is greater than 3 or equal to 3, I am coming here. So I'll print input is of sufficient length. Then I move on to the next statement. If length of s is greater than 3, it will print s. So if the length is equal to 3, nothing will happen. And this is an infinite loop. So it will only break when you actually type a quit here. So you can try and execute this program yourself and you will see how it works. So this will make you clear about the break, the continue part as well. Now try to solve this. So I have defined a fruit color for a fruit. So this is an argument here. If fruit equals apple, return red. Else if the fruit is banana, return yellow. So I'm just trying to write down this function and I'm using the if statement to be able to determine what kind of a fruit is it and then return a corresponding color. Try to find out what will this code do. Also solve this. Write the solutions in the comments below and then I'll discuss them further. Thank you.